Hi guys, this is Alex, and this is my wife Cassie, and we are from Deputy Tribe. And I think it's very important for us to make this video, and for countless of reasons. I am sure you guys are aware that what's happening within our society and within our culture, and it's very important that we talk about these things, and it's very important that we as a family, but also we as neighbors and other people, because it seems like there are more uh, fighting going on among us citizens, because people are not having an honest discussion about this. It seems like people are in such a state of panic and fear that nobody is just stopping and just looking back and saying what is going on here. And I think that it's by design. I think that that there are people out there who do not want us to have the freedom that we have. And you can call me a conspiracy nut or whatever. That is fine. That is fine. Your opinion about me doesn't hurt my feelings. So you can call me that if you want. But I think we need to start having these discussion, because it's very important. What's happening now and how we respond to it is no different than how we respond to any other crisis within our life. It isn't. So the same application apply. And here is what I see that is happening, is that people are in fear and they are responding irrationally because they are in fear, and they are giving up and begging for help because they are in fear. So there is a theme here. There is fear. And so because of that, fear causes you to be paralyzed, and it also causes you to not be able to make sound decision. One of the things that I tell my kids is that you never make any good decision angry. But also fear also. You never make good decisions in a state of fear. So
It reminds me of the verse, "For God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of sound judgment," a sound mind.
Sound mind, yep.
Making good decisions without fear.
Yep. And it seems like we are losing that, specifically Christians, because I see and hear some Christians responding very fearfully. And it's like, you guys, we have a God that is all powerful and that is allowing this for a reason. So rather than us being fearful and responding that way, why don't we get on our knees and pray and ask the Lord, like, what are you doing here? What message are you trying to send out here? And so for us believers, we need to have a sound mind, because others are watching us. So back to what's happening, okay? This coronavirus, regardless to what and how you feel about what's happening, the approach is the same, okay? Why don't we just step back and say what's happening and how are we to respond to this, especially as us as Americans. We are not used to being outside of our comfort zone. Let's face it, we are very spoiled here. We are not used to having our freedoms taken away because that's all we know. That's all we know. We have our very comfort zone is being challenged right now. But the surprising thing is that how fast people are willing to submit and surrender their freedom is mind-blowing to me, especially from people who have freedom within this country. And it's something that has slowly happened over time, that our freedom have slowly been eroding away, that now I guess is not really surprising. And so how are we to respond to this? For one, we need to pray. We need to ask the Lord, what are you doing here? And then two, we need to respond to that. Okay? And because we have freedom in this country for us to live and we have freedom of religion, right? Freedom of speech.
We did.
All of that. We still do. It doesn't mean that we don't. We still do. We shouldn't be so quick to surrender all of those things. And what I mean by that is, right now, everything that's happening with this stay-at-home order, right? And I knew this from the beginning, that one, it was not going to be a 2-week thing for us in Minnesota. It wasn't. So the government said, our governor said it was a 2-week trial, and then after that, hey, we are gonna figure it out, right, as we go. To me, I'm like, look, I have been through enough of these to know that they say one thing and then it's always something else. So always expect that. So that's just the way it is. So so how are we to respond? But also, what is happening here? Exactly what is happening? So all a trial is that it reveals what kind of person you are. So whatever situation you're in, how you respond says a lot about who you are and your character. Whether you're somebody that is brave or somebody that is weak, a trial will reveal that. So just take a look around. How are you responding to that? Okay? So, and also too, how is the government responding to that? What exactly are they doing that we should be concerned about, right? We should look at this from a freedom, standpoint, okay? And just because we are in a national security situation right now, crisis right now, doesn't mean that we need to just throw our freedom away, okay? And we can get into this whole stay at home order thing, and we can break it down and argue over that, okay? We can. But the overall thing is that just because the government is doing certain things, we may think it's for our own good, we need to stop and think and look at it. What does that mean for us right now, for our freedom? Okay? And I hear people saying this ridiculous statement. We need to give up our freedom for a little bit of security. And I was blown away. I'm like, wow, really? Really? Go and tell that to people in China. Tell that to people in Cuba. We have been so spoiled here, and we have been asleep that we don't even see what's happening. Every decision you make, you need to step back and look at it as, how are we going to get through this? All right. So let's look at this stay at home order. When an order like this comes through, a law should be even out, right? So it should affect everybody equally, right? But is that what's happening right now? It's not. There are select people that are deemed essential. Well, who gets to decide that? Did we, as the government, and that means the people, did we vote on it? No, we did not. So I didn't vote on it. Governor Walz did not ask me for my opinion about it. So think about that. Who decide what is essential? So now we see certain people and are being looked down upon because they are not following this stay at home order. So we need to look at it from does this affect everyone? How does it affect us? And I don't mean that it needs to affect us in a horrible way. No, we need to approach this in a way that how are we going to walk through this with the least amount of restriction, not the maximum restriction. That is not, we are not there. Okay? This coronavirus, I mean, if you think about it, think about what's happening right now, guys. Just think about it. We are quarantining everyone because there are few people that have this symptom, but also dying. And I am not making light of people dying. I am not. But we need to face reality, is that we are not helping ourselves, and we are also not helping those people that are dying or sick by how this is being handled. Okay? You don't shut down society for a few cases. You will not apply that to your own life. And what I mean by that is this. If someone within your household is sick or they have the flu, what do? Do you shut down the whole house? Do you say everyone within that household should lock themselves in their rooms until this other person gets well? Do everything stop? Do schooling stop? Do living your life stops? Does that stop? No, it does not stop. The most sensible thing that you can do for everyone that will benefit everyone within that household, including the person that is sick, is that you continue to function.
Well, and like we got sick recently.
Yep.
And so we have 7 kids, 3 adults in the house. And we quarantined the sick person in their room and gave them food and water and what they needed. And I also kept my infant away from everyone just in case other people were going to get sick. I was the only one holding and handling the infant.
And I was the only one
handling
the sick person.
So we quarantined the sick and we quarantined the ones that were high risk of having complications from the sickness. So the rest of us went to work, went to the grocery store, lived life like normal. I schooled all the other kids, but the 2 that were affected were the ones that quarantined themselves. The rest of us didn't, because it wouldn't have benefited anybody had we quarantined ourselves who were healthy. So that just makes sense. You quarantine the people who are sick, and if there's someone has higher risk of, complications, then they can quarantine themselves if that's what they choose to do.
And
but you don't shut down the rest of society.
Yeah.
For that.
And one of the arguments that I get is people are saying, look, but I have an immune suppressed system. So this actually benefits me and this and that. I said, okay, well, one, you are just thinking about yourself. Okay? That's just it. You are. But you are not looking at it from a overall standpoint. You're not really looking at it from a sensible standpoint. So like my kid that was sick and she had the, sick, she benefited from me living my life as usual because she's part of that. I need to make sure that she ate. I need to make sure that she was taken care of. Okay? And it was in her best interest that I did that. It was. So, with this, is that the people who have family members and relatives that are immune suppressed, or how do you call it? Immune
or compromised.
Immune compromised. They care for their family members enough to take necessary precaution. We don't need the government telling us that. That is not something that is new.
Right.
So I really don't understand that. Is that that we need the government to keep those people safe.
And we understand this because we have a daughter who had an autoimmune disease for several years. And she almost lost her life due to this autoimmune disease. And so I know what it feels like to bring your child to church and get upset when other people bring their sick kids and they don't realize, if my daughter gets sick, we'll be in the hospital for a month and she'll be on treatment fighting for her life. Mm-hmm. So we understand the burden of having an autoimmune suppressed body. Yeah. But that doesn't mean that the rest of the church doesn't function because we have an autoimmune suppressed child. That means we have the responsibility of choosing what we bring her to, things like that. Obviously, people we love can come around us and not bring their sick kids to church and be aware of that. But that's something that we get to work out with our family and with our,
Loved ones.
extended family and all
Yep.
of that stuff. That's not at all something that needs to be regulated from the government.
Yes. I love you. You say it a lot better than I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what we need to look at, because it's only going to get more and more worse, meaning that the government is only going to add more and more to this.
So,
We need to start having these conversations amongst ourselves.
so what should we do?
What should we do? That's a very interesting question. First thing we do, we need to pray. We need to pray. We need to pray. And then after that, we need to have these discussions. We need to share with our family, our friends, and we need to have a discussion about it. And then 2, we need to let our voices be heard with our state representatives, our governor. We need to let them know, because this thing is destroying our society, our economy. It is. It is not in our best interest to shut down everything. It's not. But it will be in our best interest if society continues to move forward. People should be responsible enough to figure this out. We don't need to be
even
regulated.
If they're not, it's still not the government's responsibility to regulate these things if they're not even sensible enough to figure
Right.
it out.
You guys have to understand, the government is just like people like us. They are just like us. And their knowledge, they work for us. I've met my state representative, and believe me, I have my opinions about them. Talking to them. They are just like us.
So then what would you say about this whole curve thing? Like, the whole stay-at-home order is that we flatten this curve so we don't overwhelm the hospitals and things like that.
Okay. So, obviously, there is a lot of talk about the numbers and what's going to happen. How did we deal with the flu? How did we deal with all the other stuff, all the other pandemic? Is that what they call it?
No, a pandemic means like worldwide outbreak, like a big deal.
What's epidemic then? That's not a word?
Yeah, they're both words. I'm not sure what the
Okay.
difference
Well,
is.
anyways. Well, how did we... So...
Well, but people will say, oh, stop comparing this to the flu. This is way worse than the flu. So you got to get into the debate of numbers and all this stuff,
Yep.
which is curious to me because on the CDC website, you can get all the numbers. And you can compare the people who have died from coronavirus from January 1st to March 25th, pneumonia and diarrhea and dehydration and cancer and abortion, and you can compare these statistics. So
regardless to what the numbers are, here is my thing. The approach still is the same. The approach is the same. How we approach this thing, and I am not saying that the exact approach, but meaning how our mindset should be the same. One, calm, and we look at it as how can we do things that will be least restrictive. So regarding the overwhelming the system, the first thing you have to do really is the people that are immune suppressed, people who have those weak system, it's up to you. If you value your health and yourself, you should quarantine yourself. It's in your best interest for you to quarantine yourself and make that known. Work it out with your family members and friends.
Your employers and-
Employers. Americans are very compassionate people. We want to help. You quarantine yourself, and you that have family members that are like your daughters or your sons or just whoever, you quarantine them. You do what is best by them by quarantining them. You wash your hands. All the basic things that we have been teaching, that have been told to us. We do that whenever we come around. Like one of the things that you have me do is whenever I come home, I take off my clothes, I shower right away because we have a newborn. Do I need the government to come and tell me that? It's in my daughter's best interest, and it's also in my best interest for me to do that because she will not get sick and I won't have to take her to the hospital. So it's nothing new. We don't need to be regulated on this.
I think another good point is people really need to start thinking for themselves. And it's from a home educating parent standpoint, it's always amazing to me how children are not taught how to think, but what to think.
Yep.
And this has been a generational degradation.
Degradation, yes.
Yeah, degradation
Yep.
in our country. And it's put us now in a position where we have a couple generations of people who don't know how to research, look at the facts themselves, and make sound, logical decisions. Instead, what I see is people watching the media and our governing authorities telling us, trust the media, which we've never been able to do in this country, trust the media, at least not in my lifetime.
Fake news.
And so it's interesting to me that there's this lost skill set of looking at the facts, which thankfully in America, we still have access to true facts. I don't know how true they are, but I know that they're a lot more accurate than what they're given in other countries. I mean, just a simple search on the CDC website, and you can compare statistics and you can decide for yourself, is this really something that I need to be afraid of right now that's going to overrun my life versus the fear mongering that's going on, on the news. People need to think for themselves. They really do. And we need to discuss these things.
Yep.
I think you're right on about that. And we need to make our voices heard, and we need to talk to, if there's ever a time to figure out how to contact your representatives, it's now. And let them know what you think and how this is affecting your life, and not just your life, but other people around you.
Yep.
Like that private-owned restaurant that has really good food down the street who had to shut down, and they spent their whole life building that restaurant from the ground up, and now they have employees that are unemployed. I mean, they're going to have to start over. Every day a business is closed, do you understand how much money's not coming in for them? They have bills they need to pay. Everybody does.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't just shut all these things down indefinitely.
Yeah.
So now you have people shut in their homes. Now there's discussions about young kids not being able to go into grocery stores, and beaches being shut down, and parks and zoos. And I mean, what is the result mentally, emotionally, economically? Like, what are we doing
Where
here for
does
the
it
sake
end
of what?
also?
And
Where
do you draw
does the line?
Where do we decide the line's drawn? Because
if you think the
we're
government's
supposed to be
supposed to,
choosing that.
do that, you are in bondage.
Yeah.
You are in bondage to the very enemy that our founding fathers made sure that we
Yes.
would not be.
And you need to go back and read the Declaration of Independence and what it was that our founding fathers came and established this country for. It was the tyranny of England and what they were oppressing us with. And if you read it and you read our Constitution and you look at what's going on around you, that your founding fathers died and gave their life. They faced disease. They faced war. They faced famine. They faced an entire continent army coming against them. And for what? For us to cower at this mutated cold virus and be stuck in our homes and just roll over and let all of that be taken from us? Like, go back and read just the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States of America. And you'll see, wait a minute, I can have more than 10 people in my home. In fact, I'm pretty sure, the Fourth Amendment protects my rights to do that. Oh wait, I can publish that I believe garlic helps kill virus because I have freedom of speech. I'm not saying any type of heresy. Why are my social media posts being taken down? I do have the freedom to practice my religion and go meet at church and worship. Yeah. There is nothing the government can do about that. These are all constitutionally given rights.
Unalienable rights.
They're not even given by the government. They're
the government
given to
does not give us rights. If you think the government give us rights, you are, once again, it is the very enemy that our founding fathers were literally fighting against.
They are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So, I hope this... Do you have anything else?
No.
I hope this encouraged you guys. And for some of you that it may not, email us. And if you want to have a discussion about it, I am more than happy to have a discussion about it. I think it's time for us to start doing that and do it civilly. Do it civilly. I am not into the fear mongering. I am not into the name calling. And I respect people who have different views than me. So email me and you and I can have discussions about this. And, but yeah, we just wanted to just let you guys into our minds and just into the life, and just thank you for listening for the last 33 minutes. So thank you. All right.